Cæsar sin losje. Som severdighet er det vel kanskje best å se om vinteren, for da er det ikke teaterforestillinger her. Romerne de hadde vannklosett, og her ser dere faktisk vannklosettene. Vi skal se om vi kan finne et bedre posisjon til å ta noen bilder av det. Det er en trapp her, kanskje vi kan komme opp der. Her altså gikk romerne på dass. Noe sånn spesielt sånn bluferdige, og nøysomme var de jo ikke. Dere ser hvor tett de forskjellige dasshullene står. Der satt de med rennende vann til å både vaske seg i ruer og vaske hendene med. Så det hele blir veldig godt forklart i en BBC-dokumentar som heter Toilet the Untold Story. Jeg skal se om vi kan få tatt med akkurat den beden som viser hvordan disse toalettene verkte.
But that's easier said than done, and it's a problem we've been wrestling with throughout history, as the earliest religious texts reveal. According to the Bible, thou shalt have a place also without the camp, whither thou shalt go forth abroad, and thou shalt have a paddle upon thy weapon, and it shall be, when thou wilt ease thyself abroad, thou shalt dig therewith, and shalt turn back and cover that which cometh from thee. But how far should you go out of the camp? Well, according to one Hindu text, they advise that you should fire an arrow into the air and only defecate where the arrow landed. According to the Vishnu Purana from 2,000 years ago, you shouldn't defecate within 150 feet of a water source or 15 feet of a house. So let's go back to the dawn of civilization. Over 2,000 years ago, Indians, Chinese and Cretans can all lay claim to having built the first flushing toilets. But it was the Romans who really got to grips with the problem. I'm in Spain at the site of some wonderfully preserved Roman ruins.
The Romans had grasped the essentials of sanitation. The need to contain your waste and move it away without anybody touching it, the need to minimise smell, and the need to clean yourself up afterwards. Now, these ruined latrines here at Mérida show how they addressed all of those problems, and very successfully indeed. This was a communal privy. You'd have sat here, the seat has disappeared, and your waste would have dropped into this drainage channel here, thus solving the first of the two problems. The water flushed the waste away, nobody had to touch it, and of course, as it dropped into the water, that minimised smell. Now then, this second water channel running in front of us here was what you would have used to wash yourself afterwards. You would have had a stick with a piece of sponge on the end, dip that in the water, wash behind yourself, thus giving rise to the phrase, the importance of not getting hold of the wrong end of the stick. This example gives us a better idea of what Roman toilets would have looked like nearly 2,000 years ago. There's a surviving piece of seat that's been mounted on that metal frame there nearest to us, and then the 6 seats next to it are replicas that have been made out of concrete. And we can see a surviving washing channel in front of the seats. That's where the Romans would have dipped their sponge sticks in order to wash themselves. And this was a public toilet situated just behind the theatre here. We can see the main drainage channel stretches away quite a way. There was in fact room for 25 seats here. It was a considerable feat of engineering.
Romans had no issues using the toilet together or sharing a poo stick or two. Perhaps there was no embarrassment yet because most people had never experienced toilet privacy. Clean water was too precious just to use for clearing away human waste, so grey water from drinking fountains and baths across the city was channeled here to flush away waste only as its last stop on the way out of the city. But this supply of water was only made possible by the aqueducts found throughout the Roman Empire.
Even today we still marvel at aqueducts like this one, part of a 3-mile network engineered with a precise dropping gradient in order to bring a constant supply of water to the baths and toilets of Mérida. Later generations came to know this as the Aqueducto de los Milagros, the aqueduct of miracles, because they simply couldn't conceive that something as magnificent as this had been built without divine agency. But of course, as the Roman Empire tottered and fell, we forgot a lot of things that the Romans had taught us, not least their innovations in the field of sanitation.
Exploring ruins like these in Mérida, you are constantly struck by the scale and sophistication of the building works. But Roman author Pliny the Elder described the Roman sewerage systems as the most noteworthy thing of all. And with good reason. The city of Rome itself boasted a water and sewerage system supporting a population of over 1 million. But as the empire declined, this infrastructure crumbled, and such a population was no longer sustainable. By the Middle Ages, Rome was home to only 30,000 people.
If you don't have any art, you're pretty much lost.
Imagine there's no heaven.